was standing on the louver framing, and I lost my footing. I had my hand up, and the big galvanized bracket fell on my head. It did hurt, and I was like, kind of just, swept it off type of thing. A few weeks later, had a few drinks, and then I woke up, and I was like, oh, this is a bit worse than a hangover.
What is success to you?
I think it was a learn to love it experience.
And there's always pitfalls that you can fall in, but then you've got no one else to blame but yourself.
Number one thing if you're struggling is to catch other people about it.
Hey guys, Builder Apprentice is brought to you by our friends at Builders Academy. Builders Academy is New Zealand's newest apprentice provider, and they definitely here to shake things up. Why use Builders Academy? Well, first of all, they're just as good as the other guys, but on top of that, they will come on site every 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, that's quite a lot, right? That means that your apprentices will be a lot more engaged, and they'll have to learn a lot less modules in between trainer visits. Secondly, they are backed by master builders. And thirdly, they have an experienced and motivated team that knows the industry inside and out. In fact, most of them are ex-chippies. Now, Builders Academy are currently offering $0 fees if you sign your apprentice up before the 31st of August. So definitely worth taking advantage of this deal. Just go to buildersacademy.co.nz. Okay, that's it from me. Enjoy the episode. Yeah, Marcus, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a bit cold today, eh?
It was a wee bit nippy.
You're sitting there freezing away. You go get a blankie or something, Chen. Get a blankie in here for Marcus. We just talked about what time you guys normally kick off in the morning. So what, normally about 7:30 at the moment?
Yeah, 7:30 at the moment, just because it's a wee bit darker at the moment. Yeah, with 7, you got to get the light out. It's just not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are third year apprentice.
Yeah. So I've been building for 4 years.
Yeah.
But I had a head injury last year.
Yeah.
And so yeah, 3 years with my apprenticeship. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Like
okay.
theory wise and physically.
Yeah. Yeah. So you okay. So you're what, 24?
24, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your sort of background. Like, where did you grow up around Auckland or outside of Auckland? Like,
yeah, so I'm a shore boy.
Oh, yeah. I won't hold it against you.
Yeah. Yeah, predominantly brought up in Milford and Taka.
Cool.
Yeah, so went to school on the shore and, played rugby. Yeah, things like that.
Which school did you go to?
Kristen, just around the corner, actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you played, what position did you play rugby?
I played halfback.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I played for a few clubs when I was, a bit younger, my junior years. I played for Maris, North Harbour,
Cool.
Takapuna, and then recently I played under 85s for North Shore.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I did a little stint at Taka. I did under 19s for 1 year. That was fun.
Yeah.
Fun. No, that's cool, man. Okay, cool. So then, did you finish school? When did you decide you wanted to sort of get into building, or was that even a thought when you were in high school?
No, so I finished school in 2018. I did what everyone else was doing, and everyone was doing a business degree. So I followed suit. Went to AUT. I was there for 6 weeks. And I was kind of like, what am I doing? Like, I didn't really like school. I like the social side of it, but
Yeah.
academically.
After a week, you're like, okay, now I'm over it.
Yeah, academically, it wasn't all my thing. And for that rest of that year, I was actually working at Post Haste, the courier company, just in the warehouse there.
Nice.
I was a forklift driver. So I did that for the rest of the year, and I was like, I better start doing something career-wise. And it was actually a family friend. He's like, why don't you try the trades? Like, it's a great thing to get into. And so I did a bit of research. I looked at, the big 3, like building, being a sparkier, a plumber, and building kind of was the one that I thought I would enjoy the most.
Yeah.
So,
Why is that?
Eh?
Why is that? So, like, why not plumbing and how did you make the decision? Like, did you just purely look at what you'd enjoy or what the money was like or future opportunities?
It wasn't really the money. I thought, I don't know, building just at the time, I didn't know a lot about the three really, you know. But building just kind of stuck out to me, and it was actually a family friend who said, "I know a person that's looking for an apprenticeship. Would you be keen to, you know, go for an interview?" Anyway, I went for the interview, and we went from there, and I started my apprenticeship there. Yeah.
Cool. And who was that?
That was Coastal Boulders.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then we had a little chat before. You mentioned that was kind of like just as pre-COVID, or just as COVID.
Yeah, so that was started 2020. So I started there, and it was like late Feb. Worked there for a while, just doing standard stuff when you start your apprenticeship, like cleaning, digging, and just insulation like that.
Right, a lot of broom time.
Yeah, and it's all part of it, you know, when you first start out. So did that, and then, I think, what was it, March, when that first lockdown hit or something like that. And then, unfortunately, he just said, "Oh, sorry, mate, but I kind of have to let you go." And I was sweet with that, you know. And as we were coming out of that lockdown, it was actually my dad. He knew a person at work that was working for this company called DC, and they were advertising that they wanted an apprenticeship. Yeah. And I started there, yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, those are a cool bunch of guys, eh? DC.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great team, great culture, yeah.
And so you started working for them. So what was that like? I should ask before, like what was that like, kind of like rocking up first day apprentice, you know, even at the previous company as well? What was that like, kind of just, is it sort of a bit nerve-wracking, or you just...
Yeah, I was quite nervous, especially because I was quite green. I didn't know a lot about building. I never really did it. I didn't do woodwork at school. Woodwork at school. So, I was pretty nervous, pretty timid as well. They used to think I was quite like a bit mute, to be honest, I think.
Just be quiet and just do the work.
Yeah, I kind of went in with the attitude, just real knuckle down, go into work with a, good attitude. If they tell me to do something, just get into it and get stuck into it,
Yeah.
I've eventually, as I was working there a few months, kind of gauged where I was at and got a lot more comfortable.
Right. And then did you work there for a while before you started your apprenticeship, or were you sort of into it already?
I didn't. Yeah. So I worked there for probably 4 months, and then I started on the books. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was that process like? Like, how does that work? So do you hit up your boss, he hits up you? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy process. Justin, my boss at the time, just sign me up with the provider, and you just go from there, and the assessor comes in and says such and such in your first year, you're only going to get little things signed off, not really the big modules. The first year is just kind of getting into building, getting a gauge for it, and just getting your basics signed off type of thing.
Yeah. And what was it like, was there any sort of misconceptions around the starting your apprenticeship? Like, what did you think it was going to be like versus what it was actually like?
No, not really. I knew you got to do the hard graft at the start. You can't complain about doing the basic jobs, I feel like you got to learn the foundations of building when you start, as I said, you're digging, you're cleaning, because you don't know a lot. So I feel like you just got to do the simple jobs well, and eventually you will progress to do the better jobs,
Yeah. Was there any injuries or anything like that when you just started, or little niggles or little things, little stupid things that you did, when you kicked off? I remember I was a hammer hand years ago, and I did some stupid stuff, I just ripped my hands open with some tools, and
not major ones. It's more if you're doing demo, and that's a thing I learned pretty quick is if you're demoing framing and there's all these nails sticking out of timber, it's like you accidentally stand on them type of thing, and you feel it slightly go through your boot. And such I learned, you smack those nails down as soon as you take the timber off. But Yeah, not really big ones. Yeah.
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 It's quite a physical kind of job, when you kind of come from, especially if you're just doing, I don't know, seems pretty chill if you're like riding a forklift drive around or you're going to uni and stuff, and then you're going to jump on a building site.
Yeah, there's definitely it's a different type of fitness construction. It's very true. I remember when I first started, like, you'd be digging and you'd be quite out of breath quite early, but the more you do it, the more you can keep going, type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so for aspiring apprentices that may listen in, explain to me how the sort of structure works for someone looking to start an apprentice, like 3 years, right? And how do you, or generally if you do it all sort of like consecutively, and then what's the structure of it?
Yeah, so it's about 4 years now. I think it used to be about 3 years.
Right.
So obviously you find a company to work for, and then there's a few providers out there that you can pick from, and then once you start, you start on your books, and then they will come every so often to assess you, and on the work side, obviously.
And do they come and teach you as well, or is it just pretty much you just have to like learn on the job, do your book work, and they just come and like grill you, or how does that work?
Nah, so the provider is all theory based. The physical is obviously what you learn on site, and is your boss will tell your assessor, yes, he can do this, or no, he can't, type of thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so what was, so you're in your third year now, or it's taken like 4 years, because what happened there at when you were working? You mentioned that you had a bit of a accident.
Yeah, so it actually wasn't last year, it was the year before.
Right.
November of 2022. Yeah, it's a bit silly actually. I was on a louver and I was installing a big galvanized L bracket. Anyway, I was standing on the louver framing, and I lost my footing. And anyway, I had my hand up, and the big galvanized bracket fell on my head. And I didn't know at the time, but I'd never had a concussion before. Anyway, it did hurt, and I was like, kind of just, swept it off type of thing. I'll be all right. Because I wasn't bleeding a lot, and I came right like after 10 minutes. Anyway, such and such, a few weeks later, as you do on the weekend, you get a bit social with your boys, had a few drinks, and then I woke up, and I was like, oh, this is a bit worse than a hangover.
Right.
And long story short, I had bad symptoms, and it knocked me out for a bit. I wasn't all there for a good 6 months, and then that led into 2023. Went back to work, but I still wasn't 100%. And then end of last year, halfway through last year, I was like, I wasn't really enjoying work because I wasn't all there. So I was like, it kind of made me resent building in a way.
Yeah.
So I was like, do I look for other avenues, So I actually started this year. I looked back at going to uni to do a property degree. And anyway, I did this course. It was called The Switch. And then, it really helped me and got me on the straight and narrow again. And
What was the course?
it's called The Switch.
Yeah. And what is that?
It's called like neuro-linguistic programming. Sounds a bit hippie, but it actually works. And
So what do they teach you there? So what were your symptoms like before then? And then what do they teach you to kind of like
brain fog, just a lot of brain fog. Just feel real cloudy in the head.
Right.
And it's like your attention span's really out of whack, even like that was the problem. I'd be going to work and I was getting told to do something. I just wasn't all there. And it was just really affecting me because I was just like, I'm not feeling like I'm being efficient and, doing well. So that's kind of why I kind of made me resent it for a while.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, right? It's like the career that like gave you this injury now. And
Yeah.
like it's, you kind of like, oh, screw this. Let's go try something else.
Yeah. But it wasn't that. It was just me. But
Right.
when I did this course, it really helped me out. And then actually now I'm a real, like, especially on site, I'm a lot more aware. And I'm a big advocate for health and safety now. I actually do, even on a because I do residential, I do wear a hard hat just because I don't want to be in that same instance again, eh?
Yeah, 100%. What is the health and safety like these days out there on sites, and what can we do to improve that, do you think?
Oh, I can only speak for the residential side because I've never done commercial. I know commercial's a lot more heartier in that respect. Yeah, it's you do your toolboxes. We do them every 2 weeks, and you kind of discuss what needs to improve and such things like that. But like obviously standard PPE, like safety glasses, if you're doing insulation, wear overalls, type like that, and earmuffs, yeah. But I don't think on a residential site you actually do need to wear a hard hat. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're just doing that as a
Yeah,
precaution.
I don't want to be knocked in the head again.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a hard time in my life. So.
Yeah, 100%. So now you're like officially sort of in your third year, right?
Third, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how are the years different? So is the third year a lot more theory stuff than the first or second?
I would say, the first year, you're really gauging, you're just doing simple tasks, right? Second year, you're kind of assisting with your builder, or your foreman, just helping out. And you can do you could probably do the basics, like, like framing and stuff like that. And then third year, you can do most things on your own, probably need some assistance. And then that fourth year, really finishing off very confident, in your ability in building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems to me like, just from talking to different apprentices and qualified builders and stuff, that it is quite a thing to juggle between like you put a hard days of work in at on site,
Yeah.
and then you have to like do a lot of your bookwork stuff as well. Is there how have you sort of navigated that? Do you sort of do that at night, do it on the weekends, and do you do it consistently, or how have you found it?
Yeah, so I won't lie to you. When I first started, I was not good at my books. You go to work, and I worked hard. I thought I had a good attitude, but you still need to get onto those books. Because if you don't do the books, you're still not going to get qualified at the end of the day. You're not going to get your ticket, right? You can be amazing on site, but so it is a hard thing to juggle because you can work sometimes 10-hour days, and most of the time, especially for me, I like to do it on the weekends because I'm just knackered after work. So yeah, it is. You got to be good with your time management, setting aside time to actually get into those books. Because it can be a hard thing to juggle.
Yeah, and like realistically, how many hours would you have to put in, like a week or a month or whatever, if there was like if an apprentice wanted to know that?
It does vary. Some are very big, and some are actually quite small.
Right.
So like for the small ones, you could probably do it, I don't know, in a day, to be honest. With the big ones, yeah, probably a week. But you want to give yourself enough time before your assessor comes. There's no point doing it a day before, because it's just not going to cut the mustard. The assessors know, because it's all verbal, right? So they know if you're confident with your language or not.
Yeah. You're just like regurgitating,
yeah.
and they're just like, and then they ask a few different angles questions. And
Yeah,
you like
exactly.
Stumble on that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. yeah, I can imagine that. It must be annoying because, people do get into the trade because they don't want to, they don't really want to go to uni or whatever. And now it's like they didn't realize, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that would be a little bit, that would be a little bit annoying. Are there any other sort of support or resources out there that sort of helps you with your apprenticeship? outside of just your book work and on site, or is that pretty much it?
I know with some providers you can actually they do like a night school class, but I haven't done that. So yeah, I think not really. Yeah.
And who keeps you accountable to it? No one, or is it just the providers that's going to rock up, and then you just have to?
Well, generally your boss, especially at my last company, DC, they were really good. They were heavily onto the books, and if you weren't doing them, they would kick you into gear type of thing, which I think is good, You
Yeah,
kinda
and
need
I guess
that.
they're incentivized, right, for you to be qualified. They can charge you up for more, at
Yeah,
a
it is
higher rate.
it is an incentive. Yeah.
Yeah. What qualities makes a good apprentice?
I think it all comes down to attitude, but being a good listener as well, and being attentive. Like, yeah, it's all good going to work, but like when if it's a builder or your foreman's telling you to do something, like really listening, because I think I've been guilty of it at the time. You'll be doing a certain task, they tell you what to do, and they're like, oh, so you get it, and you're like, oh, yeah, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, what am I doing, type of thing, So yeah, just going to work with a good attitude, and like really listening, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because there's so much components in building. You get there's a lot to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're not attentive and you don't actually follow instructions well, it's going to be a hard game to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
What can it's always interesting because you can people always sort of talk from the apprentice side, but we'll talk a bit more about that obviously. But from the business owner side, from the construction company owner side, or the foreman or whatever, what can they do or to support apprentices better, do you think?
I feel like just obviously owning a company, they've got to think of a lot more stuff. Obviously, just the apprentice, but just supporting them within their learnings, and actually being like when you're doing a task, like really explaining it, and like obviously some learners don't just get it straight away, so being quite attentive and really taking them through the processes of things.
Yep.
I think I've had instances in the past where you want to learn, like say if you want to learn stuff about wall, like framing, and you only learn so much parts of it, and then they go away, and then you only know so much,
Yeah.
You want to know the whole thing.
Yeah. And have you worked on a lot of different projects so you can kind of get like a different variety, or has it been sort of like one project for long periods of time?
I would say when I first started, I was jumping around sites. That's a big thing. I feel like, I know it's hard. You can't always do that because you got to be an apprentice. You do jump around sites, but like I think it's great if an apprentice can stay on a site from the start to the finish, because then they really get an understanding of the whole process.
Right.
When you're jumping around, you're kind of like, you're just doing all these different jobs, which is fine, but you're just not following the whole procedure,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's almost like both, right? You want repetition.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to do the same thing over and over and over and over again, because you get the repetition, so you get better. But then at the same time, I can imagine it'd be quite good to get context of where everything fits in.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah.
And sort of seeing it come together.
Yeah.
So that definitely makes sense. Are apprentices soft these days, or are they? Is this generation that you guys are in, you're 24, are you guys like misunderstood, or is it legit when a lot of people out there say, hey, apprentices are soft these days, they don't know what a hard day's work looks like and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I wouldn't say like not everyone is. I think it's more attitude. What it comes down to, I've worked with a few apprentices that have come in. I've started before them within this company. or any company, sorry, and they come in quite cocky, you know, and say if they're just doing a basic job, you know, they get all up in arms about it. And I feel like you don't want to come into a company with that bad attitude, and I feel like it's good just to stay under the radar a wee bit, you know, because when you give an attitude to the people above you, that's when things can start getting ugly. You know?
And why do you think there's so much, let's call it confidence with the young apprentice? Some young apprentices can't. Is it just, why do you think they act like that? Is it just, is it like a social media world? Is it, you know,
I think so, yeah.
And I also wonder, like, sometimes because, you know, we look at social media, we see what other people are up to. I think two things from my perspective, and you can tell me what you think about this, Marcus, but I think one thing is, firstly, people don't have a lot of patience, right? And then when you're in the building game, you know, you're an apprentice, and then you get qualified, and then you get, you know, and then even like starting your own company and building your own company, it's a very like long process. It's a long slog, and it's not like a quick returns.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they look at social media, they look at these people popping off, and you know what I mean, and doing well, and because obviously on social media everyone does well, right? Because they just show all their good bits.
Yeah.
And so they just don't have the patience to like take it slow and steady. And then the other side as well is that we live in such a digitized world now where it almost seems like, you know, all these crypto kids and stuff making millions online, and like it just seems like making money is easy if you look at TikTok, and you look at you know, and so people are like, why would I come and dig holes and sweep for 10 hours?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Do this? What are your thoughts on all that?
Oh no, totally. I agree with you. I think the social media is a big part of it. Just like you said, I think apprentice. When you sign up for an apprentice, you need to realize you do need to have patience. You know, you got to just do the simple tasks first before you can, you know, do the good stuff. And it does take time, but there is a pecking order, you know. Once you go through those processes, eventually, you know, you'll be able to do that good stuff and good work, you know.
Yeah. And so in terms of like you guys, you know, you kind of like a further down your apprenticeship now. What are some of the mistakes you made sort of at the start that you can kind of look back now and go, oh, I should have done it more like this or like that? Is sort of looking back, is there any sort of things that you've learned?
Oh, definitely. I think as soon as I started, I wish looking back at it now, as I really got into the books. It took me a while, because I feel like if you get into the books early, it gives you a lot more confidence, and because every time you pass an assessment, right, it gives you, you know, you get a bit of boost out of it.
Yeah. And
you're like, I'm actually doing all right. But I feel like if you're not doing the books, you're going to work, but you're not progressing. Sorry, you know, through that apprenticeship. And another one. I've said it before, but being attentive, you know, really listening and trying to get the most out of it, and also asking a lot of questions. I think that's a big one. Yeah.
So in terms of the learning itself as well, like, would you recommend that people sort of put set times in place, like on the weekends or you know, doing like, okay, Thursday nights or Wednesday nights, I'm doing book work, and then also, do you think it's can you skip bits? Like if say for instance on site you have like a certain aspect coming up like over the next few weeks, like whether it's, you know, framing or you know whatever, is there elements where you could be strategic with it, where you sort of study a little bit ahead of the tasks that you do practically?
Yeah, I think it's important to study into relation what you're actually doing on site. There's actually no like you can study anything. You can pick whatever module you want to do.
Right.
I think it's important to get all the fundamentals done first, because the fundamentals are the ones you want to do at the start. But like you there's no really you can study whatever you want, really,
Yeah.
within those books, yeah.
Because I think 100% it will motivate you more as well if it applies to the thing you're going to be doing.
And you get it more, because you're looking on site and you're like, oh, actually, I get that now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how important is it to sort of keep having that attitude of just keep learning, soaking it up?
Oh, very important, because there's a lot to learn,
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going home and you're learning what you're doing on site, you're more ingrained within that learning. Yeah.
So like, over the years, building sites have been notorious for, apprentices being treated like shit. And what's it like in 2024 out there? Not to throw any of your work colleagues under the bus or anything like that, but what's it like out there at the moment? Is it still pretty hostile out there, or has the culture changed a fair bit?
I think the culture is changing. I think I've got it pretty good now. As Chris, he's actually a good mate of mine, so I probably give it to him a bit more than he gives it to me, actually. But when I first started, I was, you're so green, and I think you take things personally when you don't need to. I remember when I first started, some people would give you a bit of flack, but it's just banter. It depends. Obviously,
there's a line.
There is a line. Yeah. But most of it, when in my old company, it was just banter, and I used to go home and I'm like, type of thing.
And the shower.
Yeah. But as you get, as you progress through your company, you soon realise like it's just a bit of light-hearted banter, and I think it's good. I think that's one thing I love about the trade. It's kind of the last frontier of you can be a bit like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because I actually found that because I'm from South Africa originally.
Yeah.
And I moved there like years ago, but the culture in South Africa is very much like like you give each other sort of shit all the time. And then I moved to New Zealand and like you do that, and it's not like kind of that standard here.
Yeah.
But I think the building sites is probably like the last, like you say, the last place still where there's like a lot of that banter going on.
Yeah.
I think it's great because I think it builds a bit of, obviously it toughens you up a little bit, but it also, it breeds it's good culture, and people are having fun, and I think it's a good kind of vibe. It also shows people are close.
Yeah.
If people are giving like I used to always say to my mates as well, like, if I give you heaps of shit, then I really like you as a mate.
Yeah.
If I don't ever, give you any shit, then you're probably just sort of more like an acquaintance. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think if the more shit you get given on site, and if it's in a good banter way, obviously, and it's not completely over the line, then I think it's almost like a compliment that the guys on site actually like you as an apprentice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they don't think you're like a weirdo or anything.
And I think it's a thing, when the apprentices started to giving it back, you know that it is a good relationship.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can't do it straight away. You've got to earn the respect of your higher ups before you can start doing that type of thing,
I mean, the first time you give it back, everyone's like, whoa.
You don't want to be doing it on the first day. Type of thing.
Coming out this strong out of the gate.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how did you then come across, so you're doing your apprenticeship with Builders Academy, right?
Yeah.
How did you guys come across them? Who decided to go with them versus the other guys? Is it you? Was it your boss? Because you started with the other guys first, right?
Yeah, so I started with the other provider, and then I found out about Builders Academy last year through Blair.
Yeah.
But I've known Blair for a few years, have a great relationship with him. He's very thorough. And he was kind of talking me through it, and he said, we come every 6 weeks. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing,
And so the other guys, what are the other guys? How often do they come?
They're about every 3 to 4 months, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's quite different.
Yeah.
And so what are the benefits of coming more regularly? Isn't it more of a hassle, or is it beneficial?
Nah, because I feel like you don't have to get as much signed off, but because obviously with the other provider, you have to, because you only see them 3 times, right? So you're kind of like, oh, I need to get a lot of modules signed off. Where with Builders Academy, you could probably get like, 3 modules signed off. And I don't know, it's just that because it's a bit more personal, when he's coming every 6 weeks,
Right.
They know what you're doing on site a lot more because they're coming more.
Right, you have that. You probably build a bit more of a relationship and an understanding, and and there's probably more accountability there then as well, right? If he comes more regularly,
Yeah.
and I guess is it true that you don't have to then study as much, and per time that he comes,
Yeah, well, exactly. You don't have to
cram like heaps.
Yeah,
of
you
stuff
don't have to
in.
cram so much content.
Yeah,
It's just like you can just go through it with, studying less content.
yeah. And why did you? Okay, so you knew Blair, and that's why you kind of thought you'd make the switch. So what was that like? Was it like a hassle to switch over? Do they have like different modules and different paperwork? How does it work?
Nah, it's all pretty similar because it's the same standards.
Right.
It's all NDQA. So obviously different blocks, but it's all very similar and familiar to me. Yeah.
So you literally you had some stuff signed off or whatever, so then you just went to Builders Academy.
Yeah, it's all cross-credited to the
Right.
same type of standards. So it's fine. Yeah.
And so there was like no real hassle.
No, none at all.
Oh, okay.
Especially because I knew Blair. He walked me all through it,
Yeah.
and what's going to happen on this next new course. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. So in terms of like you, because you've been with the other guys with Builders Academy, what sort of, feedback would you have like for even both or all providers and even the way that the apprenticeship sort of model is structured? What feedback? Do you have any sort of feedback or anything that you reckon those guys could do differently or better?
I'm pretty happy with Builders Academy at the moment. For the other guys, not really, because I don't know what they're like now, to be honest. So I can't really say, but just with Builders Academy, how you're getting those regular site visits, I think it's amazing, eh?
Yeah.
It goes a long way, yeah.
So those trainers or educators, or I think some people call them like officers or something, what makes a good educator versus a bad educator? Like, because you've had a bit of experience now across the board.
Yeah, well, I've only had Blair.
Right, okay.
And he's a great educator.
And what makes him a great educator? Like,
Oh, I think he owned a building company in the past.
Right.
So he really knows what it's like on site. And he's quite technical. Like, when you've passed with him, you do feel good about it because he's very thorough, but he's also fair. So yeah.
that's awesome. Okay, cool. So now you're going to be another year, right? And then you're going to be qualified, hopefully?
Yeah, should be qualified next year sometime.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Fun to get my ticket. Yeah.
And what's your goals beyond that? Where do you see yourself? What would success look like to you in sort of 5 to 10 years if once you get your ticket?
Yeah, so I really want to keep upskilling. The goal is to stay with Chris for quite a while, eventually become a foreman, hopefully a project manager. And then, the big goal is to one day own my own company, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. It's a good mentality to have to kind of take it slow and steady and learn.
Yeah, that's something I really want to do, yeah.
Yeah, I think just a lot of feedback from interviewing builders and just being around the block a little bit is that, start doing it slowly is sometimes better than trying to just like get qualified and jump in and start your own company, And then some people can do it and do it successfully, but more often than not, it's better just slow and steady is kind of the way to go.
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of that. Would it be fair to say that going through your apprenticeship could be a bit of an isolating type of experience, or would you not agree with that?
I think it depends on the environment you're in. I can't say I've had that. It's been quite good. I've had quite a positive experience because, especially with my last company, it was all very close-knit. We had a great culture, even hang outside of work. I still see a lot of them, even though I don't work there anymore.
Yeah.
I see still a lot of them outside of work. Yeah, I think it comes down to your relationship with the company. Obviously, if you're not liking it, there's no point. But yeah, I can't say I have personally. Yeah.
Yeah, and are there any sort of ways for apprentices to like network or anything like that out there in your
Right, you
your
mean like
industry?
together?
Yeah, together to like network, and is there any benefit in that or not really? Like,
Nah, I wouldn't say so. Yeah, I haven't experienced that. Yeah.
you'd rather just like hang out with the builders and with the boys on site and just do it that way.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I've never really come across that.
And so a big conversation that's been going on a lot around the construction industry is less than desirable, like mental health and around builders, and especially I guess once they get qualified and start their own businesses, it really kind of ramps up because it's quite a stressful environment. From your point of view, have you ever struggled with mental health, and if so, what's been helpful to you to kind of like, kind of not solve that, but to kind of like, help you with that to kind of improve your mental health?
Yeah. Obviously, last year with my head, I did struggle quite a bit. I feel like you got to talk to, get it out there and talk to your mates. If you do need help, talk to them. And also, don't be afraid to talk to your bosses and stuff like that. Most of the time, they've been through stuff as well, so they can help you out, type of thing. So yeah.
And so you, is it worth talking about that program you went to? Is that something anyone can do, or what?
Yeah, so that's great. They do stuff for like. It's quite interesting, like long COVID and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. It's all about changing your like beliefs and your attitude to a negative beliefs. Yeah.
Right.
It was quite a different journey, that's for sure. But it did really work. Yeah.
And what was it called again?
It's called The Switch.
The Switch. And people can just find it, just Google it.
Yeah, it's all about changing your negative habits and stuff like that
into like positive ones.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. We'll go check that out. The Switch. Shout out to those guys. Awesome, man. So I'm going to do some rapid fire questions if you're happy for that. We're happy with that. And then this has been fun.
Awesome.
Kind of trying to get it from a apprentice's perspective, eh? It's
Yep.
kind of nice because kind of hear it from both ends. So no, that's been good. Awesome. Okay. What's the most used tool in your toolbox or Penny?
Hammer.
What's your go-to snack during smoker?
Tuna and rice.
I just immediately had that in my mind. Like, that's like the go-to. Just when I was a hammerhand as well, the smell of tuna on a building site is pretty standard. Someone's always going to pull some tuna out. I was going to ask, worst on-site injury, but we already know.
My head, yeah,
Your head,
for sure.
yeah. Anything else that's happened? Not that big, but anything else that's happened like that?
Nah, just yeah.
Got to be safe out there. Health and safety.
Yeah.
What's the most common mistake new apprentices make, you think?
Not getting into your box, I reckon.
Yeah. If you could build anything in the world, what would it be?
A house.
Okay, what was your secret for, or what is your secret for staying motivated, sort of on tough days, when it's like building's hard, physical, raining, and you got to do your book work? How do you sort of stay motivated?
Yeah, it is hard. I especially with when the radio's on, I like to really amp myself up, even if it's a terrible job, I can't always, especially when I'm digging, I get quite into it and just, pump yourself up type of thing. Because the quicker you do it, the quicker it's going to get over type of thing,
Yeah, 100%. What's the funniest thing that happened to you on a building site?
I don't know actually.
Can't remember. But like choose not to say. Coffee or Monster?
Coffee.
EV or petrol head?
Petrol head.
Rock or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Who's your favorite? Who's your go-to?
Rihanna.
Nice. Jock or hippie?
Jock.
Okay, be honest here. What's your most used emoji?
Definitely the laugh reacting.
Oh yeah. The side one, or the
Yeah,
normal?
definitely the side one, or maybe the skull sometimes.
Oh yeah. Are you an extrovert or an introvert?
Introvert.
Rugby or UFC?
Rugby.
Do you watch a lot of Super Rugby?
I'm actually more into the league at the moment.
Oh, league.
To be honest.
Warriors?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I do like international rugby. Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite hobby?
Wakeboarding.
Oh, cool. Wine or beer?
Beer.
Okay, tools. Milwaukee, Makita, or DeWalt?
Milwaukee.
What's the last piece of advice you can give to apprentices that are looking, or someone looking to get into an apprenticeship?
Going to work with a good attitude. Being attentive, always listening, and get stuck into those books.
Awesome, man. That's it.
Yeah, no,
Did you have
thanks-
fun?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming in. Sorry it's so cold in here, like luckily I got my natty fleece shirt on here at the moment. But I appreciate you coming on, man. And I think aspiring apprentices would and other apprentices would have got a lot of value out of this. So yeah, appreciate it.
No, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. Cheers.